you guys, welcome back to the channel. I am your girl Beverlyn and this is Dispersed. If this is your first time stopping by and seeing this lovely face, don't make it the last time by hitting the subscribe button. And if you're a returning subscriber, you know the drill already. You are loved, you're appreciated. Thank you for stopping by once again. Today I'm up close and personal and in your face because I wanted to do an update video, as you can see by the title of the video. Today is Tuesday the 9th of April. It's actually like our Aurora anniversary. It's been a year. I can't believe it's like 365 days. I disappeared for some months and then I just came back and a lot had changed. So I thought I should do an update video so that a lot of things that are happening on the channel actually make sense. I mean, if you do follow me on Instagram, you might be like a little bit up to date. If you don't, a lot of things are like, what is going on? Why is there a baby? Why is she talking about a husband and all that jazz? I'll be putting videos of anything that I can find to make it a little bit visual, but I don't have enough content for me to make like a specific vlog for each of the events I'm going to be updating you on, because I wasn't intentionally like recording them. I wish I had. For everything to make sense, we have to like rewind all the way back to like November of 2022. November is my birthday month, and my then boyfriend, he is very big on birthdays, and he made it like sort of like a tradition to always like go away on birthdays, either mine or his. So we would always have a trip on either of our birthdays. So on my birthday, I received a printout of like where we were gonna go for the trip, and I really didn't think much of it because I was like, okay, you know, this is like our little tradition that we do, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. He was taking me to Sources Flag, which is in the south of Namibia, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, he had just a bunch of activities he had planned for us to do there. So another rewind. So prior to this, we had spoken about marriage, when we would want to do that, if we would ever want to get married and all that jazz. And I did mention that I wanted to focus on school and finish my schooling first, because I was thinking, you know, when a girl is in love, she falls deep, guys. Like, I forget that the world exists. I just focus on the relationship and everything just derails. So I was like, I might not be able to finish school if I'm now like thinking about marriage and, you know, it being serious. I mean, I did take the relationship seriously, but like, you know, marriage is like no man's business, and I wanted to give it my all. So I was like, let me finish school first before we can get into the talk of marriage. But unfortunately, life happened and I didn't do things according to like the normal timeline. So by my second year, I should have had written my APC and passed it by like beginning of third year of my articles, but that didn't happen. So at that time, I hadn't sat down for my APC exam, which is like the final board exam. So school was still there. So that's another reason why I never thought he would bring up like a proposal. Why he would never bring up a proposal before I was done with school. So fast forward back to November of 2022, we get to this place that is like, it was just gorgeous. It was like in the middle of nowhere. It was very far away from Windhoek. So on my birthday, one of the gifts I got was an Apple Watch. I'm not trying to flex, but it's relevant to the story. On the second day, like after the day we arrived, he had planned for us to go on a tour like of the Namib Desert, the Dead Valley, and all the jazz, and we had to get up very early before it gets too hot, and to also catch the sunrise. Because we're going to the desert, you don't want to like faint in the desert, you know. So we had to do it very early. I think we had to get up by, we had to leave the place by 4 a.m., which was like very, very early. And I remember thinking to myself, like, before I started dating this guy, I never imagined myself being outside at 4 a.m. doing what am I doing at 4 a.m.? Me outside. But he's such like an outdoorsy person. So yeah, I'd gotten used to like going outdoors, but never that early. 4 a.m. is like, like let's let Maroy wait like what are we doing up at 4 a.m., you know? And then we get to the Namib Desert. It was very lovely. We caught the sunrise. We walked to the Dead Valley.
What it do? What it do, babes? What it does? Yo, Hypo, ever since I started dating this guy, things have been the ghetto because what is this? I was saying I think I have the whole desert in my shoe. Yo.
When we got to the Dead Valley, this guy kept on insisting that we take pictures of ourselves by ourselves using the Apple Watch. So there's a function on the watch that you can control your camera control your camera on your phone using the watch. So he was like, let's use a watch to take, you know, pictures of ourselves. And I kept on asking him, like, why would we do that? The tour guide is taking pictures. And he was like, yeah, but there are other people. Let's just do it ourselves. What's the point of getting these gadgets if we're never going to use them? I was just like, you know what, this guy, let's just do it. Like, at some point I was just like, it's too early for me to be arguing about who's taking pictures of us. The Dead Valley is absolutely gorgeous. We were taking pictures by ourselves. And then the tour guide was like, no, let me take some pictures of you, right? And it was kind of like a struggle between the two of them because he didn't want to let go of his phone. And I was just like, to the tour guide, you can have my phone. And then we get to this specific tree that he was like obsessed with. He was like, it's a dead tree, by the way, because it's the Dead Valley. And he was obsessed with this particular tree, and he was like, let's stand by this tree, I want to take pictures here. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Then the tour guide starts taking pictures of us, and then he's like, no, I also want to put my phone so that we can get different angles, you know, of the Dead Valley. I'm like, okay, sir. Puts his phone down, and then, you know, we take a couple of pictures. Everything was going great. And then the next thing I know, he's like, oh, I want to try this certain pose. I'm like, what pose do you want to try? Then he's like, let's now face my camera so that I can try it. So while I was waiting for him to show me what, you know, the pose is, he's getting down on one knee. I'm like, this is not happening. Of course I was excited, and of course I said yes. And I remember there was a running joke after I told my friends, like, oh, he proposed in the Dead Valley. I was like, yeah, you had to say yes. You had no option but to say yes, because how are you gonna come back home? You was in the middle of nowhere and this guy took you there. You can't say no. You have to say yes. So yes, I did say it. After that, I was an engaged babe.
Coffee?
He told me that he had already spoken to my parents, like my dad's in particular. I'd already asked for permission to do this whole engagement process because, you know, the engagement is more like white people things. Traditionally, you're supposed to go through the rora and everything. So, but he just asked for like a blessing for him to go ahead with that whole process. So I texted my aunt. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what happened, and you know, we're planning on doing the rora soon. And she was like, no, if you're coming to Zim this year, we'll discuss all of that. 2 weeks later, I was supposed to be sitting down for my final exam, my final board exam for me to qualify as a chartered accountant, my APC exam. And you know, I was smitten, which is the reason why I don't want to be talking about marriage, but I was like excited, and I was like, you know what, now that this has happened, I need to like focus and make sure like I get this right and get it out of the way. I sat for my exams, I think on the 14th of December, and I recorded that whole process. And me deciding to record that whole process was such a gamble, because I was like scared to fail, and I was scared to have like this reminder of a moment in my life that I failed online, you know. And I was like, okay, should I record it? What if I fail? And I was like, you know what, it's fine, because this is part of the process. Some people fail, some people get it the first time, some people don't, but either way, if I want to be transparent on this app, on the Red app, I have to be like recording the whole process. I can't only come when it's big wins or when everything has gone well. So I did record and I did post before the results came out, because I was like, it is what it is. It's part of the process. If I pass, if I don't pass. So if you want to watch that video, I will link it somewhere up here. A few days after writing my APC exams, we went to Zim. Like, I think 2 days after writing exams, we went to Zim. And I did the whole formal introductions and to formally start the whole Rora process. So I introduced him to my tete, who's my dad's sister, for all those who don't know. Then she has to go and tell the parents, like, this is what's happening, although they already know what's happening. But she went through with that whole process, and she met him, and we were planning and thinking on when the dates could be, and we settled for April. And I remember somewhere along the line, I think in December of 2022, I got the job offer to become a manager on condition that I pass my APC. So if I hadn't passed, I would just remain an associate, a senior associate, and if I passed, I would be a manager. Fast forward again to the 31st of January 2023, where I signed off my articles. I was now done with my training contract. I started articles. I remember doing like a countdown, thinking like, okay, when am I going to be done? When is this 3 years going to be over? And in the beginning, it felt like 3 years was like so far away. But at some point, like, time just flew by, and I couldn't believe it. Like, honestly, on the 31st of January, I couldn't believe, like, it's finally done. It was a trying time. It was a rewarding time, but I was so glad it was over. It was a work function, I think at the beginning of February, before the results came out, where they were announcing the new managers. I mean, now if you had already had your if you already had your APC and your articles were signed off, you immediately get promoted to manager. And I remember like they were announcing them and they were calling them on stage, and you know, people were clapping. And I was sitting with another friend of mine, and she was asking me like, how do you feel not being there with the rest of the people that you started with? I remember thinking to myself, like, who wouldn't want to be up there with everyone else that you started with? Who wouldn't want to be in the same position of being called out and being celebrated and being on track, you know? But I was just like, I responded to her saying I'm sad, but I'm also content with where I am, because everything happens for a reason. If I was supposed to be up there with the rest of the people, I would be. And for whatever reason, I'm not there, you know? Be it because of my own doing, whether I slacked, be it because it's God's will, whatever it is, I need to be content and say that this is their moment and be happy for them. Because when my time comes, I expect other people to also be happy for me. Results day came, and I remember I was so nervous. There was an event for the announcement of results. Rachel and I, my old flatmate, had agreed that we are not going to go for this event because we were so scared. And then my fiance was like, no, you guys need to go, because why do you have to be thinking negatively? What if you actually pass? And now you've missed this opportunity to like celebrate this big moment in your life because you were scared. If you fail, it is what it is. If you pass, now you can celebrate with everybody else. And I remember saying to him, you're going to go take the results. You're going to open for us, because we don't want to go. We don't want this. You're like forcing us. And he managed to convince us, and we went to the event. So they had like the envelopes on a table, and they had names. And when it was like 4:00, they were like, you can come and get your envelopes. When it was exactly 4:00, I went back to the car. Like, I have never been so nervous in my whole entire life than that particular moment. I was like shaking, and I was like, I'm gonna go back to the car. You're gonna go get the envelope. You're gonna bring it to the car. You're gonna open it and tell me how it went, because I couldn't get myself to do it. I didn't even open the letter. I just saw like you know how the bond paper, I could see the print from the back, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's a part. I was like, a chapter is closed in my life. Like, I'm done with this. I've finally gotten the designation. It's done. And I was so relieved. I've never felt more relieved ever in my life. I've never felt more relieved than in that particular moment. Because I'd passed my APC and I was now eligible to register as a CA NAM, I immediately got promoted to become a manager. The transition from becoming a manager, from being like an associate, honey, that is a job on its own. Like, it's a lot. And it was such a trying time for me because at the same time I was planning the rota and we had to leave early. I was under pressure at work. I was trying to pack up my apartment because Rachel was returning to South Africa, and it was just a lot going on. Like, God proved to me that he's never late, he's always on time, and everything is like a perfect timing. The employer gives us like a gift for passing, and because some of my friends had already gotten that gift for passing APC, I had a rough estimate of how much it could have been. And then I got a notification. That is the time when I was planning to go back to Zim for the Rora, and I was broke. I remember getting a notification, like a bank notification from the employer saying that I've been paid a certain amount. And I was like, something is wrong, because the amount was way much more than expected. So I called the HR. I was like, no, I received a notification saying you guys paid me this amount. And they were like, yeah. You passed your APC, right? I'm like, yes, I did. And then they were like, yeah, so that is the amount that you're getting. But immediately afterwards, I called Rachel and I was like, Rachel, how much did you get? And she told me the same amount. I also called. They said it wasn't a mistake. I was like, oh, I was like, oh, okay. That money came in so handy because I had a lot more things to plan for, a lot more things to do. So I was like, this is a much needed gift. It came right on time. And I remember thinking, like, if I had passed when I thought I should have passed, I would have never gotten this amount in this particular moment when I genuinely needed it. I know it's a crazy thought process because it actually hurts when you don't get things that you want when you want them. But God always has a plan. God always has their own timing. You need to be patient. You should never, ever compare yourself to other people. Your journey is your journey. Your story is your story. Because in as much as you're looking at other people, somebody is also looking at you thinking, oh no, this journey has been easy for them. You are also looking at someone thinking, oh, this journey is easy for them. Yes, you have no idea what they had to go through for them to get to where they are. God's timing is never late. It's never early. It's just perfect timing. And you just need to have faith and trust in the saying that says everything happens for a reason and God has a plan. It might hurt when you don't get what you want. It might feel like horrible. It might feel like you're being left behind, but you'll get there when you're supposed to get there, So you just need to do your best, put your best foot forward, and let God do the rest. Enough preaching. So fast forward, we go back to Zim mid-March. Now when it comes to the Rora, I beat myself up every single time because I didn't record much because I got overwhelmed with the whole planning process. I got overwhelmed and very anxious about how the Rora day was gonna go, because I was like, what if they charge him too much? What if he decides like this is too much, I'm just gonna leave. I do have some content from the day, but it's not much. It's mainly like pictures, because we had a photographer. So we opted to do like a little function, like a celebratory function after the Rora, after the Dare specifically, so that his family gets to meet my family. Context, if you're not aware of the whole Rora process in the Shona culture, what happens is your husband to be comes with his delegation of uncles and whoever he wants to use as a representative, and they come and state their intentions, do the whole Rora process, pay lobola, bring the groceries, and then that's done. And after that, the people who are there, the ones who came, and your family, like my family, they just have a little lunch. I serve the uncles and him, and yeah, that's it. but we wanted to do things a bit differently. So after the whole Rora Dare process, we got other people to come. The reason why we did this was mainly because we were not sure when we were gonna have the wedding, and we're like, okay, so we're gonna do this Rora and we're not sure when we're gonna have the wedding. Now the families are never gonna meet. Looking back now, I can't believe it's like 365 days later, honey, and we've been married for that long. The white wedding will happen, and I will be more intentional about recording some of those things, or the process that I went through to plan and all that jazz. Before we left Zim, we also did the court wedding so that we just get all the legal things done and to make life easier when we came back to Namibia. Then we found out that we were expecting. I remember I was so scared. And I remember my sister asking me, like, why are you scared? You're married. I'm like, I'm just a child. I cannot be getting pregnant. I will do like a separate video for like juggling work while you're pregnant and being like a brand new wife and living with someone new. Because being a pregnant corporate babe is no joke, guys. Like, it's actually work. Also put like a question sticker on my Instagram, and most of the questions that I got that people wanted me to address was motherhood, pregnancy, being a wife, you know, all that jazz. So I think I should just do a separate video where I address those questions and also just tell you guys my experience. 2023 was like a pivot year for me because a lot happened. I ticked a lot of things off my list. Some of the things were not even on my list. I hadn't planned them, but they happened, and I'm very, very grateful. Like, God showed up for me, and he fulfilled a lot of promises, you know. He answered a lot of prayers of mine that I had. A lot of chapters were started, a lot of chapters were closed in my life, and I'm so grateful for my tribe, for everybody in my life, you know. I don't think I would have been able to like achieve or to get any of the things that I have in my life currently had it not been for the people around me, from my family to my fiance, who is now my husband, to like my friends. For me, 2023 will always be the year for me. It'll be a year that is forever like engraved in my heart because it's just been that amazing. So yeah, in a nutshell, that is what happened while I was away, and I hope it does give some context to some of the things that, you know, have been happening on the channel and that will happen on the channel. And I look forward to this new era. If you feel like I left something out and you want me to like answer a question, just leave it in the comment down below. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. It's safe to say road to 1K now. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and leave a comment down below. It goes a long way for me, but free for you to do. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.